Welcome back to Healthwise, and if you're just joining us tonight, my special guest is Dr. Steve Reese. And if you caught my little back to with Dr. Steve Reese, normally the doctors we have a clinic name or something. Well, Dr. Steve didn't have that, and he's kind of going to talk to you about that and tell you a little story about that.
Well, when you know, a lot of times, especially in what I do, and I'm a physical medicine doctor and an interventional pain doctor, and so a lot of what I do is give injections. And so when, you know, a lot of times it'll be like, okay, you know, the St. Landry Pain Clinic or things like this. So we were thinking of lots of different names, maybe what we should name it. And I kind of wanted to name it Steve Stickin' Stuff, okay? but my wife voted that one down. And so my x-ray tech came up with a great name. He wanted me to name it the Cajun Injector, but I figured maybe there was going to be some copyright problems, so we decided not to do that one. No.
Well, that's good. And tell you what, and we're going to be talking about spinal pain management, right? Yeah. And just general pain management. Doc, tell us a little bit. I see you got some models here. You know, tell us a little bit about back pain or spinal pain when we're talking about management, and what is it? Well,
one of the things, back pain is actually the thing that people go to a doctor for more than anything else. The statistics say that 95% of people will go through a disabling period, maybe just for a few days, but a disabling period because of back pain sometime during their life. You know, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it, but really the more that I've learned about the spine over the years, the more I'm convinced that God's brother-in-law is a neurosurgeon, because it just looks like it's designed to go bad over time, you know? And so part of what we do is not only we do evaluations for what is going on, trying to figure out why does somebody have pain. The structures in the spine itself and the structures across the back and the neck. I mean, we have muscles which everybody knows that if you've ever gone and decided it's January 1st and it's time to go on your exercise regimen and you start exercising, you know in a couple days that the muscles can hurt a lot.
Sure.
Okay, so muscles can hurt. You have ligaments. Ligaments are the end of muscles that attach are actually they're like rubber bands that attach joints together, okay? And so the ligaments can get stretched out and they can be painful. We have tendons, which are like the end of the muscles, and where they attach onto the bone, that can be painful. And we haven't even started talking about the bones and the discs and the nerves, which is what shows here in the model. Just a little bit about the anatomy, how God made the body to work. The spine is basically a whole series of building blocks. Each one of these here we call a vertebrae. And in between, we have the shock absorbers, which are the discs. And everybody's heard about, oh, I have a bad disc, or I have a slipped disc, or I have a ruptured disc. Well, a disc is like a tire that's full of jello. Okay? Now, if you've ever seen a tire that has a little bubble on it, okay? Well, that's what they're talking about when they talk about a herniated disc or a ruptured disc. There's a little defect there, and the pressure of the jello, which we call the nucleus, is pushing that out, okay?
Okay.
But additionally, just like a tire, if you've ever been driving around in South Louisiana and seen an old car that's been left out in the field, you can see those tires over time.
They wear out.
That rubber, not only do they wear out, but they'll start cracking, okay? You know, just like that. Well, the same thing happens here. Over time, the jello in here, which is the shock absorber, the nucleus, in everybody is going to start to wear out. It's going to start to dry out. And when that happens, the disc itself is going to dry out. And when that happens is when we start running into lots of different problems. That's when we can get herniated discs, we can get cracks through the disc, that jello material can leak out, and when that happens, that's like pouring acid onto the nerves. And so all of those things can cause problems.
Okay.
Sometimes we can have this happen because we're injured. You know, people have been in car wrecks, or people are trying to lift too much. I have a lot of patients come in that are weightlifters, and they'll be trying to buff up and see if they can look like look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And the next thing that happens is they come in and they're laid up for weeks and they put on 50 pounds because they can't do anything anymore. And then they don't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
They look more like the that Pillsbury Doughboy. Those are some of the things that can happen. But really, a lot of what we end up seeing is just what time itself does. When I see the x-rays, and when I see CAT scans and MRIs, which are all different pictures that we take to be able to look at these things, I'm amazed at what age and gravity will do. As these discs over time start to dry out, and that actually begins at about 12 years old. As that starts to happen, the disc is going to flatten out. Now, and it's going to flatten out all the way around. What I usually think of is it's like taking a jelly donut and pushing down
squeezing on it.
Okay? Well, when that happens, what we have in the back, the rest of the spine, is we have the spinal cord. Now, the spinal cord runs all the way from the brain all the way down, and it's just like a fiber optic cable. What it's doing is it's carrying messages to the body, from the brain, and from the body to the brain, just carrying them back and forth. We have the nerves that come out, and they go down. If it's the back, these are going down to your leg, and if it's in the neck, they're going down to your arm, okay? Well, this is what's right in the middle of our vertebral column, or our backbone.
Okay.
And then in the back here, and these are the things, this is like you'd be laying on your stomach. These are the things here that you can feel if you feel in the middle of your back, okay? This is where the muscles attach. This is what gives its structure. Well, these things sit on top of each other and they form joints back here. They sit on top of these things just like these old Lincoln logs, okay? Now, you're old enough to remember what those are.
Yep.
There's a whole generation of kids, they have no clue what I'm talking about, man.
Logs, they don't
you know? Wait, is that a video game? I haven't heard that Lincoln log thing. So what ends up happening is when the discs aren't absorbing shocks anymore, these joints start hitting against each other. Well, bone is living and growing tissue. And when that happens, it's going to start to form bone spurs.
Okay.
All of this leads to this spinal cord, which doesn't really have a lot of space anyway. It starts getting squeezed. It starts getting squeezed from the arthritis on the back side. It starts getting squeezed from the disc poking out on the other side, okay? Well, in medicine, we have to make up new words for things there's already words for. So instead of saying it's getting squeezed, we tell people they have spinal stenosis. And this is the normal thing that happens to everyone. I have people come into me all the time and says, they did an x-ray and they say I have degenerative disc disease. And I say, you're a human and you've been on this earth for a while, you know?
You're aged.
You know? Now, one of the things there's a few things that we can do that can help this. It will happen. If we live long enough, this will happen, okay? But there's things we can do to prevent it.
Doc, before you get on to that, hold that thought, and we'll come back after this brief word from our sponsors.
Okay.